And there we are.
And we are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Scott from Cold War Motors.
Thank you again for having me on again, boss. It's
Oh, man, you're one of the best. You're one of the best. And you're styling with the new look.
yeah.
We're,
Yeah,
we're,
well, I had been actually wanting to shave it for a long time, but I had the idea to do that Volvo video. So then I couldn't shave it until the car was done. And then the car kept getting put off other stuff. And then it needed more repairs and whatever. So by the time I got the car done, I'd actually wanted to shave for almost a year. But I kept the stupid beard around so that I could make that one video.
how long was that growth? How long? 5 years?
Yep, to the day.
Dude, it was epic. There was one. What was that picture? I forgot what you were driving something.
Well, the tractor.
Yeah, and then the beard was just doing its thing, and it was like, oh, you need that.
Yeah,
I can't grow a beard like that. Mine just comes in like in all different weird shapes and stuff.
I got. It's surprising how gray it was. So, it didn't make me look younger.
Oh, you looked royal. You look like the old man of the mountain. It was awesome. It was awesome. But it grows back. It's just hair.
Oh yeah, I'll probably grow it back, but I don't know if I need to grow it back like that again. It was just getting caught and stuff. You have long hair. Did you ever get it caught in your creeper? When you're under.
Oh, sure. I haven't gotten a haircut since 1997, so it stays its length because it's always getting ripped off or mangled in some way. So
the beard was the same. It was about that, whatever it was about after a year. And then after that, the welding sparks and the grinder take care of it. And it kind of stayed at whatever it was because it wouldn't get any longer than that.
I've told this story before. Have you ever seen the top of your own head?
Oh, all the time.
Okay, but nobody ever really does. You know what I mean? It's like, so Hot Rod Magazine, we did a feature on my fuel altered in Hot Rod Magazine. So the photographer had gotten up in the stands and shot down on me as I was working on the car, okay? And other people around us, right? So I'm driving home and I stop at a 7-Eleven to grab a cup of coffee and they see the magazine is on the newsstand, right? And oh, that's the one I'm in. So I pick it up and I thumb through it and I'm looking at the pictures. I'm like, oh, that looks really good. That's cool. Yeah. And then I look at the shot working on the car and it says, who's the bald dude working on my car? Oh, shit, that's me.
Yeah.
And so I shaved my head, right? It was just, okay, it's all gone. And that was in 1987. And it was like, and I realized, I just don't care. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah. I shaved my head for many years because I went bald very young.
So who do we got in the house here?
Oh, the
year-old Fubar.
Yeah.
Bring the mic closer. If I brought the mic any closer, I'd have it surgically implanted.
Well, maybe he's talking to me.
Yeah, well, you're sounding pretty good. Well,
okay.
Yeah. So, Unity Motorsports. What's happening, Andy? How are you?
That's awesome.
Andy and I do lives occasionally. We got to get together again soon. Boomer, Thumper the Sweaty Fat Guy is in the house. Wheelie King, E-Fog. Can't hear Tony. You can't hear me?
I can hear him.
No, I'm looking at the sound levels and they're normal, so it might be something on your end. Mark Sauvé. So the forever car, Scott. This is something that I've lived my whole life, right? Not that I've kept everything forever, but anytime I've ever picked up a car, I'm okay. There are exceptions where I would buy stuff specifically to flip. Mm-hmm. But anytime I ever picked up a car, I was always like, yes, I am keeping this forever. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna stockpile parts for this forever. Yeah. It doesn't always work out that way. But you're the same way.
Yeah. We were just saying, I still have cars I bought when I was 17.
You still drive the car that you bought in high school.
Yeah.
Yes. And by the way, I'm drinking my coffee from an official Cold War Motors cup. Yes. So
no longer in production. So that's a collector item now.
Oh, no kidding. When did you stop?
Oh, well, we'll bring them back, but currently not in production. You got the same address? I'm making a new calendar. I'll send you a calendar if you want.
Yeah, definitely. I got the old one hanging at my. Well, I keep forgetting to flip the months because it's all just one long day to me.
I know. I don't even. Sometimes I have to do the math to figure out what year it is.
There are different years.
Yeah. They're all. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, that's not that long ago. 19. I got a Volvo, my 98 Volvo. I'm like, here's my new car. It's 28 years old.
Doesn't that blow your mind? It's like I just picked up another bike. I picked up another Sportster. I'm just on a Sportster kick now, right?
I saw that. Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, you didn't see the one I just picked up. So because I literally just bought it the other day off the marketplace, and I got it when I'm driving around, and I'm like, it's a 25, it's a 2005. And I'm like, man, this is okay. This is like a new bike. This is like, I'm used to, but anyway, it's 20 friggin' years old. How did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I know. Well, and the thing is, 20 years old now doesn't seem like an old car to me, but when you're only 17, a 20-year-old car is old. Like my Plymouth Fury that I bought in high school, I was only 17, the car was 20, so it seemed like a properly old car. But now my late model car is almost 30 years old, and I think it's a new car.
Yeah, same here. I drive.
So it's as much perspective as anything, and but I've always been about the forever car, and I guess I actually ended up with cars that I literally have had forever. Like
you live the lifestyle.
Yeah,
You're living.
Yeah, and we talk about what is the cars that you would do that with. What if you only could buy one car or a small number of cars? I have the space, so I can have a car for every day of the week. But if I had to only pick one, what would your criteria be? Well, it would be like if reliability was your only criteria. I mean, I would have to say it would have to be a slant six Valiant would be the car I would keep forever. If all I cared about was this car had to last me the rest of my life, it would be a slant six 68 Valiant or whatever. I actually had one. It's one of the few cars I sold. A body Dodge with a slant six and a stick if you could get it, but a 904 if you couldn't. Those, I mean, it'd be the last car you'd ever need if you could keep patching it. You've got several.
See, I was like, I had that same mindset until I got sucked into the XJ thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the XJ does everything that the Slant 6 does as far as reliability goes.
Mm-hmm.
But then it gives you this whole different universe of versatility. It's a station rig and it's an off-road rig, it's a tow rig, it's everything you could ever want a vehicle to be. And I drive the daily right now is 2000, which is the newest one that I own. And it's 25, about to be 26 years old. And that blows my mind. Every time I get in, I'm like, this is new. This is just too new. It's 25 years old. When I get into Mopars, I was in Mopars when I was about Tyke. But when I actually got hands-on involved, I was 16, 17 years old. So that would be like 1978. So these cars weren't even 10 years old. Like my first car, my 69 Charger, was 9 years old when I bought it. And it was an old car then. Now it's like,
I think cars had a short lifespan in that part of the world, though, didn't they? Like a 10-year-old Dodge in New York would have been on its last legs, wouldn't it?
It had rust holes you could stick your head through in the quarter.
Yeah, that's a hard part of the world on cars.
Yeah. See, here where I am now, this is like the sweet spot where you've got pristine cars, 50, 70-year-old cars that don't have a speck of rust on them, because this is just the sweet spot. You go an hour south of me and you start to get into that saltwater mist, saltwater where stuff rusts from the inside.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And you go, right. And you go, 100 miles north of me and you're in the salted.
You're in the Rust Belt, yeah.
So
where a lot of good cars are, and I didn't used to realize that, is Montana, Idaho.
Yeah.
There's some nice dry cars there. That's a nice part of the world for cars somehow.
Well, Colorado too.
Yeah. Very nice cars there. Where we are here, not too bad where I am. Of course, you're far enough north that there's a lot of winter, but the cars, the humidity here is very low. So what we have here is like what I call the bottom 6-inch cars, like where the bottom 6 inches of the car are rotted away, but the rest of the car is not bad. So
Yeah,
it's floors and rockers, but you don't have all the crunchy seams around the windshield and everything, like all that. That's when it's just garbage. You don't have that here. Like the cars are really dry. They can sit outside. The floors and rockers eventually go, but the rest of the car is still worth, it's still there. It's still good. But
I was parting out cars that were completely rust free. They killed me to do it, but no, at the time nobody wanted them. So you get a 4-door Dart with a bunch of dents and stuff like that. But once you start cutting into this thing, it's completely rust free, and you end up selling the perfect frame rails and perfect floor sections and trunk sections for the northern people. But there's like a growing public awareness. So I don't know how much time you spend watching YouTube that isn't, like immediately our world, but there's a growing public awareness of how bad the current crop of cars are, where everything is getting recalled, everything's got engine problems, everything's having computer problems, and the general public, like normies, are starting to say old cars were good.
Yeah, and it's nice to hear.
Finally being validated. After we spent a whole life doing this stuff, we're finally getting validated.
It is validating for sure, and it's fun to hear people say old cars were better, but then you say, well, but you never. The thing is, if you figure that out when you're 60 years old, but you never learn to work on them, you're screwed anyway.
But the people who are figuring this out now aren't.
The younger people are figuring that out.
People are figuring it out.
Yeah.
And that's the thing now. I think that this is going to be the next trend. I think that we're going to have in the automotive culture in general, I think you're going to have a lot of normies, people who've been burned by new tech or just alienated by it. Because even if you grow up with this stuff, it's still easy to become alienated by a car that's just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Sterile, no personality. Even the younger people are starting to gravitate towards, and I think that's going to be a growing trend in our world, right? Where up until now, it's just been car people doing classic car things. And I think that average people now are going to start, let's say, drifting into our realm.
Yeah, well, you were a magazine guy, and there was a magazine, and I think it's still around, and it was in the UK. It was called Practical Classics.
Never heard of it.
More or less dealt with exactly what you're talking about, the lifestyle of reviving and daily driving 20 to 40-year-old accessible, reliable classic cars. And
yes.
it was a thing. And they have a completely different selection of cars than we have. It was all very, Brit centric, but it was the idea was certainly there. I think a lot of people have the idea that classic cars are something that you take out on a trailer and push with gloves onto a show field, and it doesn't have to be that way. And one angle that I kind of thought that, because you mentioned, your criteria for daily driver classic car has to include the ability to, to go down at, to travel at 75, 80 miles an hour. But if you walk that back to 55 miles an hour, you open up a whole other generation of classic cars that you can. That requires a lifestyle that can be supported at 55 miles an hour, which is harder.
I agree completely. I like back roads. I like 40, 50 mile an hour roads and stuff like that. But for the average person to accept it, the reality is traffic on the interstates here, the speed limit's 70, traffic moves at 80. Right lane, you could be hanging in the right lane, and if you're not doing 80, there's somebody tailgating you. So that's the reality that we have to deal with, and so that's why I picked that era where cars started to evolve for interstate travel. So you take something that was built in 1967, 1968, whatever, and you could drop it into today's world right now, and it'll function just fine. And I think that itself is a floor, like an essential criteria for, let's say, somebody just entering our realm and saying, you know what, I'm done with new cars. I want to find something old. But I got to be able to drive it to work every day. I got to be able to, keep up with traffic. I'm not looking for an oddity.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I could get that for sure. But that also is predicated on the assumption that your lifestyle has to go 75 miles an hour, which is, if you're willing to give up the new car, then maybe you're willing to give up the commuting.
Well, I mean, commuting is just a fact of life for most people. Not like, I don't have to commute. You don't have to commute, and you live where the UFOs drop off Bigfoot. There's like, you can crawl along at 20 miles an hour and you're just fine. But the reality for most people living in suburbs and having to commute, yeah, it's criteria.
But if everybody drove old cars,
I wish if everybody drove,
then the commuting would be fun,
I would go back to the 55-mile speed limit in a heartbeat, because at 55, everybody traveled at 60, 65. Everything was okay. You know what I mean? It wasn't over anybody's head. Things didn't happen fast enough to, But now with the speed limit 70, and everybody travels at 80 and 90.
I don't even really, there doesn't even have to be a speed limit, but there has to be room for the guy that only can go 50 miles an hour. And since there isn't right now, then you're kind of forced into that. But the world's also full of perfectly capable cars that go 80 miles an hour all day. So, and that's what we're here to talk about it's hard for me to even talk about 20-year-old cars, because to me, those are new cars, and B, I stopped paying attention to new cars in about 1983.
But I'm with you. And I was like that again until the XJs. Until I just got into the XJ thing, nothing newer than 1973 or 1974 was on my radar. It's just ridiculous. Electronic ignition? No, I don't need to deal with that. Even though I work on this stuff, I've worked on it my whole life. I did computer diagnostic for years, right? But I don't want to own it. So the XJ just kind of changed. It opened my, and when you compare the technology that's in an XJ today, to what's in today's cars, it's perfect. It's like, it might as well be a glow plug engine.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm so thrilled with my Volvo.
What year is your Volvo?
It's a 1998.
Yeah,
a Volvo S90 with it's got fuel injection and ABS, but that's it.
Same level of technology.
It's a Hammer, and they are fully galvanized, and they'll go 700,000 miles on those things. So I found a totaled one that was sideswiped in an accident and rebuilt it. And I'm good for life. There's my modern car, and that'll go 80 miles an hour all day.
I wanted to talk about this comment here from just an average guy. It says, one problem with your theory, my theory, is that no normies possess the tools, skills, or desire to keep a forever car going. Yes, there are a few, but generationally, there are fewer males 20 to 40 who know tools. So here's my thought on this in general, right? Because this is a much bigger picture. It's a small slice of a bigger picture. The pendulum always swings the other way. So over the last 50 years, 60 years, or thereabouts, society has frowned on people with grease under their fingernails, right? So go to school, get a white-collar job, be a professional, that sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that went to a point that it's no longer valid. Right? People who took that path are now being replaced. They're being replaced by AI. They're not essential.
Well, and like so many things, the idea that you had to go to university and blah blah, that instantly, or very close to instantly, just became a racket. It became a student loan racket. Tell people that they'll be happier with a university degree, then loan them $100,000 so that they're already over their heads in debt before they're 25 years old, and they're still unemployable. Yes. And that was a racket. And I think I'm happy to see people starting to wake up from that, learn how to build,
For years, and really up until very recently, debt was almost a status. It's like, how much do you owe? It's like, it's not, it's the opposite of what it should be. What's your actual net worth? To take away all your debts, what do you have left, right? But no, debt actually became a status symbol. The more you're hanging on your cards, the more you owe on your house, the more payments you make on your cars and everything else, the higher status you are. And that's, again, the pendulum swinging the other way. And it's swinging the other way, like on a day like today, where gold hit a new record high, silver hit a new record high. It's like real things, real money, real skills, real cars are all coming back. The pendulum hasn't swung.
The funny thing is that with cars, it's the most obvious one. It's the easiest and most obvious way to be independent. Like, it's hard to come up with enough money to buy a house, and an old house costs roughly the same as a new house. But an old car costs as much as one payment on a new car, and they both do the same thing.
The car payment.
So to me, and even as a kid, it just seemed so painfully obvious that new cars were a waste of money. They're just a huge waste of money. By the time you finish paying for a house, even if it was old when you bought it, it's probably nominally worth more than what you paid. But if you buy a new car, by the time you paid for it, it's worthless. So to me, it was a non-starter. It was a non-question. I mean, I paid $500 for a '67 Plymouth Fury in 1987, and it's fine. I've never even had the heads off of the thing. Like, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And they're hammers, right? And these are the cars that they made the same drive lines for 30 years. Those GM cars, like that Saginaw steering box, does not need to get any better than that.
Right.
I mean,
if you look at anything, you look at the cars that you drive, your Volvo, my XJs. There's nothing you can improve on those cars.
No, not really.
That's
things worked out, right?
You can go back to what's that?
It's almost a shame they had those things ironed out to such a science, but then they kind of use it as an excuse to gut the companies and pay themselves huge bonuses for 20 years. And, in the end, they were, they didn't take that money and reinvest it into thinking properly. They just looted the companies from inside, and it's too bad.
And they kept adding to the engineering staff and the design staff. It was good.
Yeah.
What do all these people have to do? They have to keep reinventing the wheel. It's perfect. It's not perfect enough, But
and eventually, once they had the mechanical parts figured out, all the engineering staff was just assigned the task of making it cheaper. We got to pay these guys. Let's pay them to make this stuff cheaper.
And now planned obsolescence, because now it's now like planned obsolescence is always kind of a thing.
It's always been there, but it used to be a voluntary thing. It used to be,
It's in your face. The wet belt.
Yeah, wet belts. I mean, you can't even. There's no excuse. And really, do we need vehicles with 14-speed automatics? Like, that can't be good. That can't last.
Non-rebuildable 14-speed automatics. Sealed in. There's nothing you can do with it. You can't buy parts for it. You can't do anything with it.
You can't repair
it now too.
Yeah, but 3 generations of people who didn't fix their cars and traded them in every 3 years, well, then they're just like, well, if that's what people are going to do, we'll just give them what they want. But unfortunately, I guess it's nice that people are having, but the only way that it's too late. Those all the modern car industry is beyond saving now. So all that we're left with is the hope that people will figure it out and boycott that industry till it goes away, and replace that industry with cottage automobile restoration industry, which is us.
And that's where I think the people who are already in this, I think that's where we're all gonna I think that's where we're all gonna benefit, because we have the knowledge, we have the ability, we have the experience, we know these older cars. And then the more advanced among us, from a let's say a technological standpoint, who can redo computers or print parts. There's so much opportunity, but the point is the public first has to accept it and embrace it. I think that's happening. Like I see it. I'm watching a lot of videos lately about just these compilation videos where they do TikTok clips of people sitting and talking in their cars. I'm paying $1,200 a month for this thing, and I just spent $3,000 to have the dashboard replaced, and now the turn signals don't work, and they want another $800 to fix that. And it's like, I'm going, I want an old car. I want my old Honda Civic back. I want a car like my grandfather had, his Chevy Nova.
I've been so detached from it for so long that it really, I saw one of these videos and I haven't paid attention to the new car industry even in the slightest for so long.
Me neither.
It really, I saw a video of a guy complaining that he had to pay. It was like $1,200 for a taillight. It wasn't even broken. It just didn't flash anymore. And you can't, not only can you not fix, it's one thing to not be able to fix the transmission. You can't even replace a gosh darn taillight bulb. Do you swear as much as I do on your show? Probably not.
Well, not on the regular videos.
Okay.
But that's okay.
It's a hard habit. I get worked up about it. It just blows my mind. Like, what? Who? But the only way to make that stop is to boycott that industry till it dies.
That industry's dying.
People, yeah. I mean, and we're starting to see it. Maybe. I mean, but how long has it got? 10 years?
I don't know. There's definitely a transportation crisis coming. You know, it's not going to affect us. Obviously, we benefit from it. Anything that's bad for that industry is good for us. You know, the aftermarket, I guess we could be considered the aftermarket.
Sure. But then you have, and you have political pressure to not even sell parts for old cars anymore. Like you're starting to see that too.
Well, see, now that's a regional thing, and that would affect you up in Canada because you've still got the psycho greeny people in charge. Luckily, we shook them off down here.
Yeah,
that's not even part of the discussion anymore.
Yeah, good, but it is. But again, the way to get around that is you buy cars where you can repair the parts as well as the car, and you buy cars where, like, there's no way that I'm ever going to not be able to buy, a used set of connecting rods for a small block Chevy. Like,
right.
I mean, if they never made another single car part for the rest of my life, I'm good. Like, I've got a lathe. I've got 12 cars that already have plates on them. Like, I'm fine. I don't go anywhere either. That's the other thing. The thing that really changed my life was just take driving right out of it. I love cars, but I hate driving. I mean, I even like driving. I just hate traffic. I hate other people driving, and they suck at it.
I'm the same way.
Suck at it, most of them.
But I agree with you though. There's everything on my cars essentially is replaceable. The only parts that I can't fix myself are rubber parts. So a water pump goes bad. Yes, I can press it apart and I can change the seal, but I have to have a seal. So that's the only part where you say, well, we may run into some problems repairing.
You'll probably get seals, I think. They might not sell you the water pump, but the seal, all those seals, the beauty of old American cars is all that stuff is standard sizes, right? The seal's 1.5 by 1.5. It's the same seal that fits a forklift and a overhead door opener or whatever. It's just a seal.
Right. That's true.
And so if you can measure the seal, I figured that I used to work in a hydraulic shop and I always thought that these things were like magical things. And then I started working there and I'm like, man, I can spec anything I want here. And then you're like, oh, this stuff is all just off the shelf. And then I start looking at car parts and car wheels and brakes and transmissions. And I'm like, these are all just stock sizes because somebody was smart. They're like, why should we make our own size of seal? And then you see companies like get smart. They get wise to that, like John Deere. My brother-in-law is a farmer and we've had this John Deere discussion. Well, they'll make, instead of a 2 by 1.5 seal, they'll make it 1.943 by 1.57. So you can't buy it. You have to buy it from them. And so they're kind of holding you hostage there. But there's even a movement now to boycott modern farm machinery for the same reasons that we're talking about boycotting cars. They're boycotting modern farm machinery because it's just as unrepairable, just as unreliable, and just as crooked as the car industry.
Yep. Yeah. And that's part of the bigger trend. That's what I'm saying. It's not just, typical people. It's industry people like farmers and whatnot that are also like, you know what, I'm going to go pick up that 1953 Ford tractor back there for $800, and I'm going to put that thing in service.
But you also are, at the same time that's happening, the farms are becoming more and more corporate, and now the average farm, at least where I live, is 10,000 acres and employs 200 guys. And so there's not like 100 guys out there on 40 horsepower internationals, right? Like, so I think we see the end of that trend with these gigantic industry farms, but it's just the way things go, right? A big farm used to be a couple thousand acres, and now that's an independent, soon to be extinct farm.
But I think that's see the currency debasement that's currently happening, which is why precious metals are doing what they're doing, and our version of precious metals are doing what they're doing, is going to lead to smaller farmers. The corporate farms can only produce at a certain price point, and there's a lot of middlemen in between. Where I see around here, even in Middle Tennessee, is farmer markets are becoming very popular. So it's smaller family farms, 100 acres, 200 acres, and they're making a living just doing the farmer market, circuit in my area. And I think that's going to happen. I think it's going to another growing trend. I think all of these trends that have been in place literally for our whole lives are going to swing back the other way, and they're going to swing back hard and fast. I think this is going to be a revolution. That's going to
the way that all of that will work is that people have to realize that all starts in your head, is that it starts with the understanding that you have to learn how to take care of yourself, because, the people that you think are they do not care about you. And so if you want to be sure about having food, learn how to be a farmer. But and you don't need to, and that doesn't mean go work on a 10,000 acre farm and punch a clock. It means it all starts with resetting your understanding of what happiness is. First off, reset your understanding of what satisfaction is, and everything comes from that. And I find gigantic satisfaction in driving and maintaining the cars, which it's paid for my house. I've never made a car payment in my life other than the one to buy the car. And so my house has been paid for 3 times over just by not depreciating cars. And it all starts with making your head understand that, because until you're prepared to live according to that, people are just like, oh yeah, that's a good idea for somebody else, but that doesn't work for me. Well, it's going to work for you whether you know it or not. It's better to get ahead of it.
Some people are lost, and they're lost permanently. It's just because you'll never get through to them. It'll never happen. But the people who become admired in society. So if you go back to the let's say pre-car days, right? It was the shoemaker, the saddle maker, the blacksmith. These are the people who had the status in their society, in their town, because they made things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Then the fake money came along, and the fake society, and the fake value system, and the fake everything, and the sense of self-sufficiency and satisfaction got leached out of society. And it took 100-something years for that to happen. But again, pendulum swings the other way. And the thing is that the kid, the teenage boy, okay, who can demonstrate that he can actually work with tools, that he can be somewhat self-sufficient, that he has dirt on his hands and he actually has muscles, that's going to be the one who attracts the female. And every boy wants to be the guy that the girls want. So up until this point, it was, well, how flashy can you be? How slick can you be? How clean can you be? How much debt can you carry? Your value is based on your debt. pendulum swings the other way and it becomes how self-sufficient are you? How happy and content are you while everybody else is struggling? That's where the power comes from, and that's when you see the big societal shift.
Well, and I guess the thing is, those things very seldom, I think, happen without a certain amount of crisis.
I think we're there now.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to think that this is as bad as it gets, but who knows?
Well, I mean, I think that we're at the precipice of crisis.
Well,
I
the
think
currency crisis will be the one, right? When
What's
the currency crisis will be the one.
yes,
We're not quite there yet. People still think that everything's going to be okay, that we can just keep printing money and oh well, look at that, it's going to be fine. I mean, again, this is all so much of this stuff was self-evident to me at 14 years old. It's like, this money's based on nothing. Why is everybody living their life chasing this money? Because it's nothing. It's garbage. It's all out of thin air at no risk to the people that loan it. And so, but I don't know, maybe same with the car thing and so many of these things. I never, like, why do people spend anyway? And then they waste their money frivolously on things that depreciate to zero and spend so much time putting so much value on money that has no value. It's just this ridiculous treadmill. Anyway, I walked away from it 40 years ago. I just not having it.
Power Toys is asking, what's the best investment we can make? I just bought 1,000 ounces of copper today.
So that's a good investment. I just realized that I have 2 100% braided copper lightning rods on my barns and house that are probably worth a fortune now. They're 100 feet of braided line.
It's down right now, but it's going to play catch up to the other metals. So
yeah, well, anything valued in dollars is going to go through the ceiling because the dollars are garbage.
Yep.
So I would say that the best investment we can make is anything. What I tell people, and I don't know anything about money or anything. I just say, if you go to the bank, talk to them for about an hour about what all your options are, and then do the exact opposite and you'll be fine.
Exactly.
So you want to know what the best investment to make is, go to the bank and do the exact opposite of what they tell you. So you go in there and say, I think I'm just going to buy a bunch of silver and gold and hide it under my bed. And they'll say, that's a terrible idea. That's how you know that's the right thing to do.
Wheelie King tools, I like turning money into tools. Yes, another fantastic investment.
Yeah.
Especially machine tools, anything that you can fabricate with. You know, hand tools are one thing, but if you can develop a skill and that's going to be big. The situation that we're in right now is rapidly evolving. Okay, so just if you look at past historical examples, okay, so you look at the Weimar Republic. It was 13 months from normal, right, to completely off the rails and done. Okay. If you look at the Confederacy, look at the War of Northern Aggression, otherwise known as the Civil War here in the States, right? If you were on the Confederate side, everything was completely normal, and 2 weeks after the war ended, you've leveled all of your money, and anything you had saved in Confederate was over, and the carpetbaggers came down and bought farms for 3 quarters. You know what I mean? It was like, that is in the process. I can't tell you the exact timeline, but that's the situation that we're in right now in this country, in this economy. He's Canadian, I'm the United States, but we share the same basic economy, the central banks and the fiat currency. This is all rapidly changing. Raymond was saying gold is rising because companies are panic buying it in large quantities. No, silver is being panic bought, but no, this is what's called a debasement trade. This isn't companies or individuals buying this stuff. This is countries buying this stuff. This is China. This is India. This is Russia. This is name them, okay? Name them. This is Pakistan. This is all of these countries that have been using the dollar as their store of wealth or store of value.
They're getting out of it.
Currency. They're saying, no, 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 I don't want this stuff anymore. I don't want your bonds. I don't want your cash. I want nothing. I want gold. I want silver, and I want it in my hand right now, which is why London, they're level. These guys, they're done. Their vaults are empty. They're. I don't want to get into a whole precious metal discussion here now, but we're at a turning point. Like, this is literally a turning point. We're at the doorstep of a Weimar Republic, of a Confederacy, of all of these different economic events that happen. Like, this is it. Like, you're living it right now. This is history.
Yeah, yeah, and they're people, I think, forget that history is happening all the time, and I think one of the biggest reasons that people get eaten up by this stuff is they can't understand that events unfold on a time frame that is outside of most people's day-to-day consciousness. So if you're caught up in what's on TV and making sure that your cell phone bill is paid, and if you're caught up on the minutia of day-to-day existence, you're going to miss that you're being run into the ground over the course of a generation or two. And so another thing that I think people need to understand is that the forces that are destroying you have a much longer game plan than what's on TV this week. And the biggest way to beat this is to understand, at least understand. You don't even have to have a plan, just understand that you're being ruined. If you understand that and take everything they say as essentially destructive,
they're dropping the cheese.
All you do is understand that it's a racket. You're already better off than 80% of people. And govern yourself accordingly, as they say. And so that's, I think, another thing that people's headspace has got to get around is that, you know, life unfolds on a bigger time scale, and you have to be conscious of it.
There are some decades where nothing happens, and then there are periods of time where decades happen in a month. You know, and I think I'm not positive, but I think that's where we are right now. It's an eventuality. Is this the actual beginning of that eventuality? You know, I don't know. I think that it is. Is it going to be 2 years off, 3 years off, 5 years off? I don't know, but it's an absolute certainty that it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. All fiat currencies go to zero, every single one.
Every single one of them.
With that understanding, anything you do that has that as its background, you'll be fine. And
well, here's the thing most people don't understand about money either. Okay, they think that when they deposit, and guys, this is really important. And I didn't want to get into a whole monetary discussion, but I guess it all ties together. It's all
we can talk about Biscaynes too, like.
Yeah, but it all fits together. It all does fit together. What the average person doesn't understand, and it's deliberate that they don't understand this, is that when you deposit money in a bank, it's not your money anymore. You literally loaned that money to the bank. Or in the case of a checking account, like an interest-free checking account, you don't loan it to the bank. You gave it to the bank, right, for the privilege of you being able to use it occasionally, right? You do not own that money. So if the bank of, you know, Oshkosh, whatever you're with, or JP Morgan, doesn't make any difference, they go tits up, you're done. You're done. Yeah. The FDIC can only cover so much. It's a joke. Like, the amount that the FDIC can cover at this stage of the game is a joke. It was a big deal back when they first formulated all of these protection programs, but now it doesn't mean anything.
Another thing I think people need to understand is you're not allowed to win.
No, you're definitely not allowed to win.
So that you are not allowed to win, no matter how clever you think you are. And, right, like everybody that shorted the market in 2008 and caught that right, you know, you weren't allowed to win. They're just like, oh, sorry, we lost. Oh, well, bloop. We'll just, we fixed it, right? They put them on the cover of Time magazine. All you did was pull $4 trillion out of thin air and say, everything's fine. And everybody went, okay, back to watching TV. Like, the whole thing has been bankrupt for 25 years.
Well, people think that the 2008, the great financial crisis, they think that it ended. It didn't end.
It just got worse. Yeah.
Right. All of the current situation. Okay. So you have to go back. Or say, so major pivotal events, right? When Nixon closed the gold window, August 15th, 1971 was the beginning of the end. Okay. That was the beginning. That was the end of days begun. August 15th, 1971. And a lot changed during a period of time. Cars, culture, TV, music, everything changed right there in that period of time. Okay. And that was the beginning of the era that we're at now. It was reaching a natural conclusion, a quick, fast, natural conclusion in 1980. And that's when you had gold and silver spike there. And all the Hunt brothers tried to corner the silver market, blah, blah. That had nothing to do with gold running to $800 an ounce from the official $40 an ounce, $800 an ounce in 1980. And then Reagan said, you know what, let's not have a depression, okay, and clear everything out, start over again, because that's unpopular. Let's just give the running of the country over to the Fed. Here, Paul Volcker, run the country. And so since 1980, the Federal Reserve has been running the country, been calling policy. They run everything. Okay. And then you had the great financial crisis, which was another period of time like 1980, where it all should have just ended right there so we could start fresh. And, you know, there would be some survivors, some economic survivors. No, instead they just changed the rules again, reshuffled the deck, and then continue to where we are now, where you can see it. It's like everything's unaffordable. Housing is unaffordable. Food is unaffordable. Transportation is unaffordable. Everything is unaffordable. Well, it all started on August 15th, 1971. But the current collapse that we're in started in earnest in 2007, 2008, 2009. It just means they keep, and then of course you had the pandemic, right? Which was another excuse. It was just another excuse to pull another, I don't know what, $10 trillion out of nowhere. And then, here, have some cash. Yeah. Here, go buy things. Please. It all has to end at some point. And I believe that we're seeing that now, right? So precious metals, gold, silver, copper, all of those things, platinum, awesome. But precious metals,
forget. When people, at least one person had a great question. What is the best investment? It's people. It's the people you trust. And being, having good people in your life. That's kind of what people misunderstand. The purpose of what I'm doing on YouTube is not, it is to horse around with your friends and fix old cars for sure. But it's about understanding the value of what you can achieve when you have quality people in your life.
Absolutely.
That includes a dog.
I have many dogs.
Oh, she's sleeping. She was supposed to stand up there and make my point for me, but oops.
Just an average guy.
Sure.
Just an average guy popped in again, right? Okay. So why are we not allowed to win? Because it's a big club and you're not in it. Root cause is corruption, mostly in the legislative branch. How can Congress police itself? It can't. It's bigger than that, bro. It's bigger than that.
Well, the entire system from top to bottom is itself corrupt. So becoming the part of any part of even getting yourself to the top of that system with all the best intentions in the world, like some people have managed, it doesn't matter because the system is structured to only feed itself. And the system is the corruption. Like it is. So there is no, that's why my point of not being able to win is because you're playing the game, right? You're not even allowed to play the game until you've agreed that you're going to lose. So we just, the only way out of it is not to play. The only way to, just like going to Vegas, the only way to go to win at Vegas is don't play. And if the whole thing is Vegas from top to bottom, including the government and the media and the banks and all of it, it's all one gigantic, evil, stinking piece of shit. And the only way to beat it is to live completely outside of it. And then you see these teams in Orwell and some of the people who saw this and tried to warn everybody. And and but nobody listened because Dancing with the Stars is on, and look, my screen on my movies, and
the Superb Owl, all of these Super Bowl, all of these distractions.
And I mean, it's the old bread and circuses, right? And it's been going. Nothing here. And another thing people forget is that the Roman Empire took 200 years to collapse. It's not like it just one day it just all fell down. This is a very long, slow, and again, talking about understanding the time frame in which these things are happening. People are just now beginning to understand that, things. I don't think all this stuff. Most people didn't vote for the bullshit way that we have to live now. Most people have had it thrust upon them by just agreeing to go along with it a little bit at a time. And it's very hard to just stand up and say, no, you're all full of shit. There's 200 people in this room and every one of them disagrees with me. I do not care. And it's a very tiny percentage of people who will look at 200 people and say you're all idiots.
People are ruled by dopamine hits.
Yeah.
They're ruled by dopamine hits.
How do we exploit that, eh?
Right. The doom scrolling, okay? Yeah. And the people who run the program, the people at the top, understand this. And that's what they do. They feed you one dopamine hit after another. But to sum up what he's saying and to answer your question, just an average guy, you're not allowed to win because the people who are at the top, the very top, and these are the people whose names you'll never hear. These are the people whose faces you'll never see. They're not nice. They're not good people. They're not like us. They're not wired like us. And they thrive on control. They thrive on punishment. They thrive on pain and discomfort, right? It's impossible for us normal people to really grasp where they're at. But these are psychotic. These are evil people with evil intentions. They don't think of themselves as evil. They don't sit around saying, "We got them now." No, it's just their way of being. Where they have.
George Carlin knew all that, right? They have common interests. And so there doesn't need to be an active conspiracy when they have all the same end goals, and it's understood. So there's not anybody, no phone calls, and the evil well, I guess there's probably some pretty close. Don't they do that thing where all the anyway? We should probably just get back to Biscayne's before we both have our channels banished forever, because I'm about this close to saying a few things.
Yeah, I know. I bite my tongue a lot. I did a live with the Economic Ninja one night, and we actually were on for like 3 hours. It was a long live, and I realized right afterwards, like I had gone too far.
You went too far, eh?
I had gone too far. We deleted it right away. It's like, okay, that's it.
Okay, videos about carburetors. That's it.
Yes, but let's get back to.
Yeah, see, the thing is, we're not saying anything, but now the comment section is starting to say.
Well, you guys in the comment section,
you guys go ahead.
Yeah, you guys go right ahead, and we're going to bite our tongue and talk about.
Right, we'll bite our tongues, but you say it for us because we are having a laugh here. Part of the fun.
Yeah, as far as we can go. This is a battle that goes beyond just money. It goes beyond just civilization. This is happening on a much higher level. I use the comparison like a dog whistle, okay, where we can't hear it, but they can, right? Well, things are happening on a level that we're not wired to perceive, but they're happening and they're real, and it's the bigger picture. It's just the bigger picture. Maybe we find out when we die what it actually is.
Andrew has a fun question here.
Okay.
I know we occasionally answer because we do get going.
Yeah.
Tony and I should just phone each other for an hour before we start this.
We probably should, but then we'd say
just instantly, just like, it's all corrupt.
They might think alike, man.
Here's a fun question. Newest car that is truly future proof. Well, I mean, that's a trick question because to me, the car that would be truly future proof is one where you can make any part that you can't buy. So how future proof are we talking? Are we just talking about a good, reliable car? Because then you like a 90s Camry, maybe, or a Crown Vic. We talk about Crown Vics all the time. Those things are bloody hammers, but it still has a computer in it. I mean, are you maybe a Crown Vic with a Holley 4-barrel and points ignition? Didn't you do a points conversion on one of your cars? Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Backwards compatible.
My whole life.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Andrew, and well, I think that
he's got a 73 Dodge van there. That's pretty close.
Yes.
He seems to be in good shape.
All right. So I think that the answer to that question is, and this is something that most of us are capable of. Not that we will actually go out and do it, but we're capable because we're car people. We work with our hands on our tools, and we dream and we imagine things, and we make it happen. We make things reality. The best answer to that question is look at Rich Rebuilds and his LS swapped Tesla, because there's a perfect example. Okay, you can take any car and make it future proof. So that his Tesla did not have to be LS. It could have been a carbureted small block Chevy. It could have been a Power Glider or a Turbo 350 or a T5 or anything like that. Okay, so there's an example of a car that's completely an appliance that was turned into a viable forever car. Now, he maintained all of the car's internal electronics. So it has the original dashboard and it has all the original controls and stuff like that. But he could have just as easily mounted a set of aftermarket gauges in it, direct wired the power windows to go up and down, and he would have created himself a 1965 Chevy in the form of a Tesla.
Sure.
And I think that is going to be a big growth opportunity. People who've been doing resto mods and just restorations where you're literally reconfiguring a car could very easily take nice late model bodies, nice interiors, and completely.
It's kind of like the anti-street rod where you take an old car and put a modern drivetrain in it. The next trend will be like taking late model cars and putting 350s in them with a carburetor, right? That's the next level of hot rodding is antiquating modern cars and just taking all that shit out of them and just putting in like a 302 and a 4-speed and a cable drive tack, like.
And well, the nice thing about this concept is that the aftermarket already builds everything you need. Like, you don't have to go find a junkyard 350 Chevy. The aftermarket already provides completely fabricated or not of manufacturer origin. So in other words, like there are companies out there to build ground up small block Chevys, the ground up transmissions, ground up. Edelbrock makes their own carburetor. You don't have to go find an old AFB to make your carburetor work. So all of the things that you need, engine, suspension, electronics. I mean, how many wiring kits are there out there where you can take any modern car?
Really defining the question is then what it depends on what you think the future is then. Because if the future is just a poorer version of today, then we're good. But if the future is there's nothing and you can't buy wiring harnesses and there are no aftermarket parts, like if the future is Road Warrior time, which that's my personal best case scenario, is like the future is like we're all Mel Gibson.
Well, we would thrive in that.
I'm half-ass hoping for it, really. Get a 70 Torino and a supercharger.
I don't think. Okay, so I think that great portions of our current society are going Mad Max. Like there's, like in my mind, there's no question about it. You look at the major cities. I can't name Canadian cities, right? But New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Oh God, there's so many of them, right? All of the old school major cities, they're toast. Right? That's literally The Walking Dead at this point. There's a channel. I'm trying to think of this guy's name, and I watch a lot of his videos. He was a car guy. He had a car channel, and then he started doing these walking tours of the cities. San Francisco, and Metal Leo. I think it's Metal Leo. That's the guy's name. And
Okay.
he walks. He goes to San Francisco, right? The area of San Francisco, and he'll walk for blocks and blocks and blocks. And this one's for lease, this one's empty, this one's abandoned, this one's boarded up. These cities are done. They're the walking dead, which is another reason why if your money is invested in institutions that invested heavily in commercial real estate, because that was a big thing. Commercial real estate for the last 20 years is like go, go, go. Commercial real estate is done. It's over. It's toast. And the institutions that invested in that, those are the ones, those are the too big to fails. They're about to fail. They're in the process of failing right now. But some areas are definitely going Mad Max. There's no question about it. I saw that 23 years ago when I moved here to Tennessee. I was like, I'm going to a place where there's fresh water, where there's good growable climate, where people are armed and there's a sense of property and stuff like that. That's where I'm going. I'm going to ride it out down there. We'll protect ourselves, each other. New York, The Walking Dead. Escape from New York is a documentary. It's coming. So, but to what Scott was saying, what's the future going to look like?
Well, all I'm saying is that kind of depends. If you're going to ask about what vehicles are future proof, you have to define what you think the future is.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Otherwise, it's difficult to answer the question.
So Mad Max is coming to certain areas. I think that there are other areas that have been essentially abandoned. Okay, so if you go from coast to coast, right, you'll find these, and I'm sure it's the same thing up in Canada. You go coast to coast, and you're going to find all of these former industrial centers, the cities and towns that are literally abandoned. Okay, there's nothing. There's every house is empty. Every storefront is empty. There's like 12 people live in a place that used to have 20,000. Okay, they're all over the country. And I think it's a very short period of time now before people who are priced out of everything and are about to live in their cars, I'm going to say, hey, wait a minute, but I can go to Sheboygan and I can just squat there and, or buy this apartment building for the taxes owed on it, $1,800. I'm home. And I think that you're going to see a big move in that direction, which is going to create its own economic, aside separate from the bigger economy. It's going to create micro economies, and it's not like oil's not going to be available. It's not like the thing, electricity. All of these things are going to be available, and I think that society is going to pick up. You can have the areas that are no man's land, and then you can have the areas that are going to be boom towns.
Mm-hmm.
Boom towns. That's where these people who are our people, who are going to take a 40-year-old car or whatever and learn to work on it and fabricate and create collectives and stuff like that. That's where it's all going to go. And I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Like, I don't think this is a pipe dream that's going to happen 30 years from now. I think this is a movement that's actually like it's now. It's
in
now.
order for that to have legs, then we have to be free of government in its current form, because government won't let that happen. So we're talking about that just like when the Soviet Union collapsed, it rebuilt itself as something viable. And it took a generation, but there it is. But it didn't turn into something viable until it burned to the ground.
As economic collapse happens,
a lot of people who don't want it to burn to the ground because they can't take care of themselves.
Well, they're doomed.
The trouble is that they're not going to all just learn how to be farmers. They're just going to come for your shit.
And that's why you want to live in a place where, like I said, Tennessee, we're armed. Come on, bring it. You know what I mean? But
can we say that on YouTube?
Bring it, sure. Make my day. Right?
Can you say "Make my day"? Yeah.
We should actually. That should be the state slogan. Is we're the "Make my day" state.
Make my day state. Yeah. Well, there's people in this country who are, believe me, there's a lot of us who are fed up.
Oh, I'm sure. But as economic collapse happens, governments become less and less efficient. Cliff High does a lot of talking about this, and I'm in agreement with all of like what he says as far as governments becoming irrelevant, because when inflation really kicks in, and the cop is not making enough from his pay as a cop to bother risking his life, to bother enforcing these laws, to bother becoming a nuisance, it's just not worth it to me. At that point, the government becomes irrelevant. And that's why people are always like, but the government won't let you register your car. Nobody's going to give a shit when things are really
already happening. It's already happening.
It's already happening. Half the cars on the road,
yeah.
they don't even, you know.
I feel like a sucker keeping all that stuff legit, but it's a question of how much you got to lose, right?
No insurance. There's like, and the cops notice it. Used to be that they pull you over as license, registration, insurance. Now they don't even ask for the insurance anymore because nobody's got it. That every other car they pull over doesn't have it, and you can't just suspend everybody's license. You know, so and that's what happens. It just
well, there you go. So
right. So I don't worry about you're not going to be allowed to drive this. You're not going to. No, there's nobody to stop you.
Yeah.
They'll be knocking on your door trying to get their vehicle up to the same kind of workable standards that yours has.
And then we see the value of having good friends, because
having good friends.
That's your country is now those 100 people that you let into it. And your country is your life. It's your life. And are you worth knowing? And that's what it's about.
The most important thing anybody, so I'm doing YouTube for 7 years. I've had thousands of over 1,000 lives. Okay. And what he just said there, right, is the most profound and important thing anybody has ever said on my channel, right? Be worth knowing. Be somebody who's worth knowing. That just sums it all up. That's so important.
I thought it was bring it.
Well, bring it comes right after that. Make my day.
That's awesome. Oh, I want to change the topic real quick. Just you get a kick out of this. I might have contracted the go fast sickness. I don't know if you ever done this. We went and we did a track day at a proper road racing circuit.
I've never done that.
Oh, and I got to drive an open wheel formula car. Oh man, that was a life ruining thing. Yeah. So
better or worse than motorcycles?
Well, I haven't taken a motorcycle on a track yet, so that's coming soon. Speaking of motorcycles,
you've done back roads. We've all done.
Oh yeah, I love motorcycles, but there's something like taking a car on a track and just driving it, as fast as you can is extremely addictive. Yeah. So that might be ruining my life now.
So are you going to get yourself an open wheel car?
Maybe.
That would be a great build series.
My friend had one. I painted it for him, so he let me drive it because he knew I could fix it if I crashed it. He had a Lotus 51, which is a Formula Ford 1960, like a Jim Clark era Formula Ford.
Okay.
And that was just an experience that it was like being an astronaut for somebody like me. It was like, hey, do you want to go fly to the moon? And I'd be like, yeah, sure. So I hopped in this thing, and it was exactly as cool as flying to the moon would be. It was like, that was cool. In about 5 minutes, I'm like, well, we need to reevaluate our life quite substantially now. And I actually took my little Renault out there, and I had more fun caning that 50 horsepower Renault around that circuit. It was just so fun, so incredibly fun.
I have never done that. The closest I ever came was I took one of my road runners to an autocross once, and they asked me to come back.
They asked you what?
Not to come back.
Not to come back.
Come back. I took out their timing equipment. All right. I mean, I'm a drag racer. I've always been a drag racer. I only know how to drag race, right? So when you take that drag racer, like the autopilot. Okay, when you're on autopilot, Well, that doesn't work in a cornering type of situation because all I know is bang use power shift, right? So yeah, I scared some of the corner workers, and I took out their timing equipment on the last time around, and it's, you please don't come back.
Like, maybe this isn't for you, sir.
This is not you.
Well, I tell you, I was out there in this car, and it's a real course, and there's a great story behind the course. A fella, he built it himself with his own money, and he paved over his whole friggin' farm to make this road course at great expense. And somehow, through a friend of a friend, I got invited to a track day there, and then so my friend has said, "Can I bring some friends?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, sure." So it was me and my Renault 5, the black Le car I got, and my friend has an M3, a very early, like one of the first M3s, and my other friend had the Lotus that I painted that he had bought some years ago, and it literally had never been driven since we put it all together, and it sat in his showroom at his auto shop, but it was all certified and legit and ready to go with new tires and everything else. So we brought it out, and none of us had ever driven this thing before, and we're like, let's get her going, and it was the funnest bloody thing. Oh, we had so much fun.
When did you do this?
Oh, just a couple weeks ago. It's in the video I just put up if you want to see me smiling like a maniac, because that was pretty fun. It's just the last 20 minutes of this week's video, but we had just ridiculous amounts of fun. Like, my friend Ashley went and bought a track car like literally the next day.
I mean, I would love to try something like that, but I don't have anybody around me that is even remotely familiar. At least you had somebody who had the car and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, the conclusion we came to, and I think you would agree with this, is we had just as much fun driving my Renault as the Formula car. It didn't matter what car it was. Like, we're gonna go back next year. We're gonna see, my friend's got an old Caprice police car. We're gonna do whatever we can. Anything. It was so bloody fun, and but I tell you, I looked down at the tachometer in the Lotus for about a half a second, and it's an old mechanical tach, so it was swinging around a bit, and I looked at it. I'm like, that's weird. And then I looked up and I'm like, oh, you should have turned 0.2 seconds ago. And now you're 12 meters or 30 feet off the line, and that's in like half a second. You're like, okay, now we're ruined. And so it's really intense and really exciting and really fun. And
I'd like to try that.
Yeah, I think you would love it. Yeah. So
I like slow vehicles, man. I have more fun.
Oh, so do I. I'm the slowest guy I know. But when you're on the street, I don't have any interest in going fast. But
yeah, no, I'm not
oh my God, that was fun.
I'm a right lane driver. I'm like the least likely person to ever get speed. I'm just not there.
Oh, but now you are. Now you are.
Drag racing, slow cars are fun. Getting like that XJ I have, Mission Improbable.
Mm-hmm.
God, that thing is a blast. It's slow and just hunting for that 100th of a second. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's so much more fun. It's so much more satisfying than just throwing a big pile of cash and all that.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain to people.
Fun thing I think about the road course is you're hunting for the 100th of a second.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Like, but right. You can, like, you're not, it's just steady. It's like, okay, like you're always, the whole time you're out there is you're looking for that 100th of a second, not going back around to the line and waiting for your chance to cut a better light or whatever. It's like, there's another corner. Maybe you make it up here. There's another corner. You make it up here. Oh, there's another corner. And so you're just always, and it never lets up. It's just so intense. It's just so amazing.
The problem with this speed culture, let's just call it speed culture for lack of a better phrase, right? Is that unless you've gone to the end, you don't appreciate the journey, if that makes any sense. So unless you've gone too far, unless you've gone to something that controls you, right? And
nitromethane?
You know, like for drag racing, unless you've gone nitro, you always want to try to go faster. You always want bigger, better, faster, louder, and you get caught up in that. Like, but then when you go to the end of the rainbow and you say, well, that's all there is, you start going backwards, and then you find the fun zone. Most people miss the fun because they're so occupied with going to the next level. I run tens, I want to run nines, I run nines, I want to run eights, I run sevens. No, the fun is making the 14-second car go 13.99. That's where the fun is. Most people miss it.
That's where the fun is, just like the song says.
That's where the fun is. They're all distracted by shiny objects.
Yeah. So anyway, I tried to get a kick out of that. I finally got to go fast.
Let's catch up on some of our guys over here. Joe K, thank you for the super chat, Joe. Life is so hectic today. People don't have the time to maintain an older car. It's easier to just buy new and send it to the dealer for any work. It's easier, but what about the cost? People are being crushed economically. Groceries are killing people. Insurance payments are killing people. And now the car payments, and now on top of that, sending to a dealer, paying dealer prices, and the dealer runaround. And it's going to be a necessity. It's going to be a necessity. People are going to have to unplug from this current system because they just cannot keep up. Now, if you go back to when Scott and I were kids, right, it was common for one person to support a family of four working one job. Then you get to the 70s, and it was one person working a full-time job, and then they would have a part-time job. Then it got to two people having to work two full-time jobs. Then it came to two people having to work two full-time jobs and have a side hustle or another part-time job on top of that, just to keep up. And now there are no more hours to work. There are no more bodies to fill those hours to work. And so what's the conclusion, right? That's it. It's the end game. You can't work any more hours. You have to start going backwards. Economic, everything, pendulum swinging the other way. People are going to have to find the time to maintain their own cars.
Yeah, and it'll be difficult for some people, and some people I think will just love it.
Matthew McGee saying price jumps on groceries is weekly. Dude, so it's just Kathy and me, right? And we don't live extravagantly. I mean, I've always lived well below my means, and I mean, we just eat like regular people. And I'll go to the super. I'll go to Publix right up the street over here, and come back with just food for her and I. Just like a couple of pieces of chicken. She wants a piece of fish and like a side dish or so. It's $30. It's $30. It's actually cheaper now at this stage of the game. We have a lot of Mexican restaurants in the area. It's literally cheaper for us now to go out to eat than it is to cook in the house. It's insanity.
It's not good. It's not going to get better.
Yeah, 72Z20 spent $325 on groceries yesterday. That's for a week, right?
And it's funny because so much stuff gets cheaper, right? Monitors are cheaper. Stuff that's, that stuff's cheaper.
Yeah.
But stuff that you can't live without is getting more and more expensive.
Right. You can go buy the TV that was $1,500.
Oh, they fudge the inflation stats now.
What's that?
Around here, they found a new way to fudge inflation stats by saying that computer memory is somehow a valid measure of inflation. So because computer memory costs half as much as it used to, that somehow there's no real inflation. Things like groceries and gas are twice as much, but computer memory is half as much, so there's no inflation.
I forgot there's a name for that. There's a name for that.
Bullshit, I think it's called.
Is it value added, or I don't remember what the name for that is. But yeah, that's right after they took food and energy out of inflation. You can imagine that you're gonna measure inflation.
Yeah, those are not valid measures of inflation. Come on now.
Yes, no. Take
food and fuel and heat and things that need to survive. Those are not valid measures. You know what's a valid measure? The cost of a phone. Yeah, phones have twice as much memory but cost the same. So therefore, they're actually half as much.
That was much.
And this is the kind of, and these people are the ones you're supposed to vote for, the people that come up with this shit. So, but yeah, it's real. It's a real problem. You know, the gas bill here where I live, and I got 3 furnaces roaring away in the friggin' Arctic here. The gas bill is more tax than actual gas consumption because it's evil to try and keep yourself warm, I guess, when you live in a communist garbage dump.
When I lived my last year in New York, my winter heating bill, right? Because we had separate gas and electric. Here we don't have gas, but the gas bill was like $900. You know, like the December, January, February. You know, $900 a month to stay warm, and that was 20 something years ago. It's just insanity. And I honestly don't know how the average person does it. I'm not the average person. I've never been the average person. I've always been completely self-sufficient. I live way beneath my means, and I feel it. It's like how is the average person who's raising kids, you know, family of 4, typical, that type of thing, how they do it? I have no idea.
Oh, I see that, and I see those people, and you drive through the suburbs and the nice houses and stuff, but every one of those houses has 2 new cars in the driveway, and you can't. Those cars have to be insured, or they won't let you buy them. So, and you're paying full coverage on 2 brand new cars and presumably a mortgage. I mean, it would just be impossible. It would just be impossible. But I guess people do it. I don't know.
Oh, Elaine. That's Elaine Soles. I guess Dan is in here too. I bought tenderloin in July for $19.99 a pound. Last week it was $32.99 a pound, and I'm a tenderloin freak too. I was going to what was the name of the place? GFS, and had full tenderloins for like $45. And I'm a power eater. I will kill an entire tenderloin, you know, beef tenderloin. And now the last I passed on it. It was like $150 something for the same thing. Yeah, I don't want it that bad.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's tricky. Well, we have a garden. That's all you can do. You can fight back until they take gardens away.
Amazon sucks. Our techno-feudal overlords are squeezing us. They have implemented the Hunger Games. You said a mouthful, bro. You said a mouthful. 70 D's and 20. I bought a steak a couple of weeks ago because it was on sale for $10 a pound. Jesus.
Yeah, there's.
How are food costs up there where you are?
Well, it's not good, right? It's exactly the same thing that you're talking about where you are. It's everywhere, right? It's.
Well, different regions though. I mean, I imagine you have like more farmers markets, that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, it's all there. I mean, farmers markets, it's good, but it's not really cheap. I mean, because there's not the economy of scale that you get at a supermarket.
Right.
So farmer market are a nice option, but they're almost a more boutique option than just going and trying to buy bulk macaroni or whatever. We have a garden, which has been very helpful and very rewarding. You know, having a garden is almost as it's the same thing as fixing your own car. It gives you that little sense that you're beating the system in some way, right?
Yeah.
And very satisfying, and it's a lot of work, and it's also, but it's the kind of work that's rewarding too. And so that is, another nice side effect of having to live in the country. And some people just can't stand the idea of living in the country, and they got to be close to a Starbucks or close to a whatever, or the restaurants or the pub or whatever they like to go. And I don't go to do any of that stuff, so I'm well suited to living out here. And except that we had moose eating my cherry tree yesterday. I was not happy. 3 moose sat in front of my house and ate 2 years of growth off my cherry tree. So kind of sad. Those are country problems, I gotta say.
Yeah, I don't. I'm in a city over. Well, I'm in the suburbs over here, but
Yeah.
we don't have moose. We don't have the moose problem.
Not so much moose problems, eh? Yeah.
So let's get back to cars, man. Let's get back to cars. The forever car. That's how we started this whole thing. What are your picks? So the average person, right? Because wanting to get into where we are, right? Enter this space where you're maintaining, you've got your forever car. You start to build your fleet, stuff like that. First best steps. Where do you think the average person should get going here?
Well, I think there's a lot of good cars, and certainly where I live, maybe not so much where you are, but you could make many. There's lots of good cars. You can make them last, but you got to stay on top of the bodies, right? It doesn't matter how good you are at maintenance if you can't weld, because they're going to rust. And so rust takes, well, all the A bodies are gone, right? I mean, they all rusted away, not because they were particularly rust prone, but because the last one was made 50 years ago. So if we were to start with the assumption that you can weld and maintain it at ad infinitum, or whatever they say, then I would say what, A bodies, B bodies, box Chevys from the box 77 to 91 Impalas, that kind of thing. Look at what cab drivers drive. Look what cops drive. Volvo 240s. Those things are hammers. I had one with 500,000 miles on it, and it didn't even use oil. It was fine, but the body was falling apart. Crown Vics, we talked about Crown Vics before. Those are the last real car. And for later model car, well, my brother, he's a great example. And we're talking about a smart guy who's practical here. He had bought a Ford Fusion new, and he never had any problems with it. Like a 2005, I guess, ish.
Okay.
Very basic car. He bought one new. It never gave him any trouble. So he bought a second one for the missus, because he could do the maintenance and he could get the parts at the same time. And then he bought one for each of his $3.
He built a
And
fleet.
he's like, as long as you girls are living here with old dad, you're driving a Ford Fusion. And, it's really cool because he takes his daughters on Saturday morning to the same junkyard that we used to go to as kids. And we would be picking the Dart and the Fairlane parts out of there. And he goes out with his kids now on the weekend, and they pick through the Ford Fusion piles, and they grab the door handle, all the stuff that is going to break.
That's nice.
And his front yard is just like used Ford Fusion parking lot. And when the girl bangs up a fender or whatever, one of them gets a little this or that, and it doesn't matter. There's one hanging on the shelf, right? Oh, the door handle broke. Don't matter. I got one, right? And there are good, better, late model-ish cars out there, and that's one of them. It's not a glamorous car. It's not a cool car, but they got 300,000 kilometers on them, and they don't have 27-speed transmissions. They're eventually... you can buy the struts for $85 or whatever. Like when they do need something, you can do it. And so, the other thing I think people forget is you have to actively, you're not just going to fluke into a good car. You have to do your homework. You have to understand what you want, and you have to wait. And, my brother's very smart about it. And he hasn't let having 5 drivers in his house become a burden, and that's not easy.
An asset.
Yeah,
he turned what would have been, so if each of his drivers in his house had a different car with it would be impossible. That's a real liability. It would
be very problematic, and
instead he turned it into an asset.
But he turned it into something very manageable by being smart and being practical. And it's like so many things, what does it say? Life is expensive when you're stupid.
Yes.
Right. But it can be a lot cheaper if you really put a little bit of effort in and you think. And so, and I think even if it's just one of you and you're picking one car, like don't just buy the car your neighbor has for sale, right? Because you don't, that's not, you didn't do any active, you have to drive your life. You can't just sit in the back partying on the bus of your life that goes down the road with nobody steering it, because it's going to end up on its roof. And you have to drive it. You got to get in there, and you have to, especially, and people make these decisions. They go in for a Saturday and they mosey into a dealership because there's a yellow car and they walk out of there with $60,000 in the hole. Don't even know what happened, because these people selling you those cars, they are professionals. And I know a couple of car salesmen who are unbelievably good, and they're like, they show up at work every day. It's like, I'm making money today, and I don't care who walks in that door. They're buying a car, and they literally do it. Yep. So you can't just hope. Hope is not a life plan. Hoping everything works out is like buying lottery tickets as a retirement plan. It's not a plan. Hoping for the best is not a plan. It's not a plan. You're going to lose.
Never underestimate the psychology of the salesman, of a real salesman,
especially a professional one.
Yeah.
You will lose.
So this is important. I think we got to talk about this, because Bill Trader is saying 3-cylinder fusions are junk, wet timing, and oil pump belts. But he's not talking about the newer ones. He's talking about the older ones.
He only buys the old ones. Yeah.
Right.
Like 2005 with the 4-cylinder stick shift.
So it's important, if you're going to get into an older car, it's important to understand.
What it goes back to: do your research, understand which ones are junk, because they're all shiny, they all look good, they all smell nice, have nice stereos, but some of them are garbage, and they're parked right next to the good ones.
The perfect example of that, in my mind, is the Ford Ranger. So you take a 4-liter, V6 Ranger, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got the pushrod version of that. Is bulletproof. It's bulletproof. Those things are fantastic. They'll go 300,000, 400,000 miles without any problem at all. You go 1 year, same body, and I don't remember the year that they made the switch over, but the body's exactly the same. The colors, the interiors, everything is exactly the same, but they went to the overhead cam motor. Mm-hmm. And that is an absolute nightmare. That was one of the first examples that made me aware that the auto manufacturers are now they're being blatant about planned obsolescence. The overhead cam, the 4-liter overhead cam Ranger and they put them in the exploders, and they use that engine across the line. That was the engine that made me get out of the repair business. Mm-hmm. Period. Again, no more shops after that. I had done several of them, where you got to pull the motor to change the back timing cassette. Okay, and I had done several of them. So it was like I knew what the job was, and I took the job in, and I priced it to where it was like, how can you not do this? I went way high on the price, but I couldn't work on it. I literally could not work on it. I walked past it. I will never forget this. This thing sit in my shop, the hood's open, and I take the air cleaner, the air breather assembly off, put it on it, and I can't work on this. And then I go back and I can drain the antifreeze out of it. I think, no, I can't. And that thing sat for months. It sat for months. And then I realized I cannot work on something that's designed to fail. It went against my value system so profoundly that I said, that's it. I'm out of this business. Right. I forget what it was now. It was a GM coat fuel pump. And the line, the clip that went onto the fuel pump, you have to break it to get the line off. So it was one of these things where it's like, you son of a bitch, right? You can't just sell a simple, $30 electric motor pump.
Very similar experience I had in collision industry. It was the same thing. You get these cars in, and half of them are wrote off for easy to repair damage because there's 16 airbags went, and that's just right. So, and you can't disassemble them because there are no screws holding anything together. So, and we were working in small independent shops. That's all I ever worked in. I didn't work in any big corporate or dealership shops, maybe a different story, but every clip breaks, you know, and so it doesn't even matter if you're good at your job. And that's, I guess, what pissed me off about it was like, I'm pretty good at this and I'm still not happy with the finished result because it's designed to only go together one time. And they're unrepairable. And I saw this, I got out of it in the late 90s. And I got back into it when I moved out here to the acreage and set up a little shop at home. And I thought, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take on only stuff that no self-respecting body shop would even touch. Body shops hate rust. They hate doing rust. They can't make they don't want to do it. Rust is death to them.
It just takes too
So
much
I
time.
thought, you know what, if I'm out here fixing rusty cars for people, old, Chevelles and Mustangs and whatever, I thought no body shop is going to be like, hey, that guy's undercutting us on all that sweet rust work, because they don't want to do it. So I just thought I'm going to keep my head down. I'll just do absolutely terrible cars that nobody's going to be sad that I took on that, that totaled 69 Mustang with the tarred up quarter. But nobody's going to be sad that they missed out on that job. So I kept my head down and I just did those jobs. And I was doing those any whatever I could do to keep the lights on. And but I got out of collision even when I was doing it in my garage here, I didn't do anything. I didn't do any insurance work. The only jobs I took on were I took out a lot of small jobs for people who didn't want to make a claim. There's a huge market for that.
Yeah.
People, they would get an estimate. I'm like, go get 2 estimates, and the estimates would be $3,800 for some chicken shit. Like, people hit the pole in the parking lot, and the door's all kinked in or whatever, but it's an 8-year-old van and but they don't want to drive it like that, but they don't want to make a $3,900 claim I'm like, tell you what, what's your deduction? Oh, it's $1,200. I'm like, okay, well, you can pick it up on Friday. Give me $1,200 and I'll just make all these problems go away. It's just going to go away. But I said, if there's a speck of paint or if there's a speck of dust, and I'm not hearing it, like, I don't want to hear that. But you're going to pick this thing up, and they always look good. I did the same quality of work as if I had done it in a body shop. But with the understanding that if there's some tiny imperfection in it, I'm not doing it again. And people were so happy, because then it also was kind of fun to show them what a racket that industry is too. Like, you don't need a new door. All you need to do is yank the dents out of this one, put a little Bondo on there. It's not like this is a precious vehicle. This is your going to get groceries car. Do you really give a shit if I put a little Bondo in this and save you $4,000? No? Good. And I had, that was some of the best work I could take on, was that, because now you're doing that guy a favor, right? That now, and very hard. And one of the things I like about YouTube, especially, selling, I like to support myself by making $5 off of 1,000 people buying a t-shirt, say, instead of trying to take $50,000 off of one guy to restore his car. Right? It's way less stress, and everybody's happy to get their t-shirt, and you made $5. But when you hand a guy a bill for 50 grand for his rusted out Camaro, it doesn't matter how good of a job you did. He hates you because you just cost him 50 grand. And he thought that the car would be an easy fixer upper, but he didn't know how to do body work. Well, and it's just, it was just, it's very difficult to be in the auto body industry at any level and not be pissing people off, because it is it's a very expensive thing at every level. And it's hard, nobody's happy to be at a body shop, right? Nobody's like, oh, I dented my car, I can't wait to go talk. They're not happy. So they're mad when they get there, and they're mad when they pick it up. And the only thing that you can do to make them happy is that's why I always insisted get 2 estimates, because people think they do this damage to their car and they're like, oh, well, that can't cost more than $500. So if I have them a bill for 1,000, they're mad. So I go get 2 estimates, and the bill's, $3,800, $4,100. Now when I hand you a bill for $1,000, I'm a hero. And some people just need to have that pointed out to them, is that this is not cheap.
the whole body shop thing has become a scam, and it's all based on just the free and easy insurance money, which is
Yeah,
another
it
thing.
is. And that's, yeah, body shops won't even touch it if it's not insurance now.
There's no body man anymore. There's nobody
No.
who can knock out a dent or. I mean, there's a few,
Yeah.
but there's
They're
specialty
out
shops.
there,
The average local body shop that you're going to bring your car to, it's just bang new parts on it, send it out the door, and it's just Eddie Reichel. I gotta address this, right? Eddie Reichel. Owners are a vehicle's biggest enemy. I'll agree with that. A Ford 4.0 single overhead cam with proper maintenance will run as long as a 4.0. Dude, you could not possibly be more wrong. You could change the oil on that thing every 15 miles.
Staying out of this one.
What's that?
I'll stay out of this one. I don't know those engines.
Oh yeah. No, you could maintain it. You could change the oil every day, okay, and never drive it more than 30 miles an hour. And they will fail. You get about 75 to 100,000 miles on it, and one of those cassettes will fail. Right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Similar to that, yesterday or day before, I went to the Harley dealer. I had to buy a part for one of my bikes, a piece of brake linkage, right? So while I'm there, I'm just walking around the showroom, okay? And one of the salesmen comes over, hungry and desperate. You could see it in his eyes, right? And they had one of the Nightsters there, and I was just looking at the bike, and he starts coming over. He's extolling its virtues and blah blah blah. I says, yeah, I'm kind of familiar with them. I'm into the older sporties. I'm not, this doesn't really do it for me. He says, at least take it for a ride. I says, I don't really have time now to take it for a ride. Maybe I'll come back and take it for a ride. I really don't want to ride this fucking bike, right? Excuse my French. So he says, it sounds real good. So he fires it up. This is in the showroom, right? He fires it up. And for the first 2 or 3 seconds that the engine is running, I'm hearing timing chain noise. And then it quiets right up. That is a brand new freaking motorcycle. There's a brand new motorcycle.
Is it a hydraulic tensioner or what?
Yeah, it takes a second or two for the oil pusher to bring up the pressure to extend the tensioners, right? Every time you start this thing that's making that racket, it's beating on the plastic tensioners. It's abusing itself all by itself. You don't have to do anything. It will fail. It will absolutely fail. So, but yeah, to your answer, no, that overhead cam 4.0 was deliberate planned obsolescence. Now, talk about body shops, body work, body everything, right? Here's my biggest pet peeve. And not that it actually bothers me, that I'm involved with it, but I see it and I'm like, I cannot believe this. You go back to when cars were cars and they were intended to live, right? They had bumpers. They had big, massive, you go back to the 50s, okay? Big, massive chrome giant bumpers with all Art Deco with torpedoes and stuff like that, right? Then you get into the 60s, and they took some of the craziness out, right? But they were still sturdy bumpers, right? They were there. They would do the job. And it was, you look at a car like a. I remember when I was a little kid, there was the Mustangs were the first ones to have those little, the stylish bumpers. And I remember people like, that's not a bumper. That's not going to protect the car. Then you got to 1972, 1973, and the insurance company said, no, bumpers got to maintain a 5-mile-an-hour hit without any damage to the car. So then you got these giant, ugly bumpers with the collapsible, stuff like that, right? And we dealt with that. Okay, well, this is what it is. It's going to save everybody money because the insurance companies don't have to pay out so much to repair it. Now we've gotten to the point that not only do cars not have any sort of bumper, but you look at like Nissans as certain all different models, right? But they've extended the nose of the car forward with zero protection for the grille. Like you go like that. You're talking about a plastic grille. You go like that to a light post, or somebody miscalculates backing out of a parking space, and the whole front fascia is toast. You're done with it. How are they getting away with this? How do they get away with this? How does the average person go and buy a car? What's in your mind when you buy a car and you have this completely unprotected? They made a big stink over the split bumper Camaros. because the grill was unprotected. You remember that? Well, you're a little young.
The purpose of the 5-mile-an-hour bumper was because cars like 69 Mustangs had, they had 3 die-cast pieces in the front and a lower valence and panels, and the bumper itself, which had bumper rest. So a minor hit involved replacing X number of pieces. And now, I was talking about this the other day, exact same thing. Like, when did it kind of go? Because at first they put the big logs on, and then they kind of painted the logs to match the car, and then they put the plastic fascia over the log. But at that point, you're already lost, because now it's the same amount of work as before. Like, it just went right back to where they were. And now they'll even say, and this gets me too, because you can take one of these plastic cars, and if you hit it just right, bonk, and you back into something and you drive away, it still looks fine, right? But now they tell you, no, even though it looks fine, you still have to take it all apart because the foam behind the bumper might be compromised, and now you're a danger to society. And so, it's just stupid. Really, it is just stupid. The whole industry.
A lot of these cars that have the faux bumpers, they still any type of minor hit, especially in the back, and they've got that wraparound cover, and even the most minor hit breaks all of the clips.
Yeah,
to hold it together. So even if it didn't do any damage to the actual bumper itself, it broke all the freaking clips, and now you got to replace it anyway.
And the paint.
Right, they're all painted.
Like, you can't just slap a bumper on and call it good. You got to paint it to match, and then it doesn't match. So you got to paint half the car, and you got to pull out all the $1,000 headlights and put them back in. No, it's a tragedy. The things, it's just like everything else. It's as unrepairable as the transmissions. It's as unrepairable as the dashboards. It's just one more example of why modern cars are garbage. And I've been saying it forever. Like, I just have not had any interest in them. And so when I hear about these things, it still surprises me, because I've literally walked away from the entire car industry 30 years ago. And I'm just like, I don't care. You guys go on, have fun with your shitty cars. I've walked away, and I've never, plus, and we talked about this with some friends yesterday, that cars used to reflect the values and philosophy of the society that created them. So you had French cars, which had a certain aesthetic and a certain kind of vibe to them or whatever. And German cars had a very serious kind of vibe, and they were good, but they were very serious. They weren't frivolous and silly. Italian cars, kind of silly, but very passionate. Yeah. French cars, just kind of goofy but comfortable and nice. And so you could...
Don't forget the Japanese cars.
And Japanese cars kind of were copies of American cars for a while. And then now, funny, full circle, everything is just copying a Camry. And every car, but all the cars are designed with the same software to meet the same standards by the same lawyers, and car design is now subcontracted, presumably offshore, and they're like, okay, we need a 4-door SUV in the $36,413 price range, and then bloop, and it pukes it out, and they're like, okay, maybe change the shape of the window crank there so it doesn't look like a Toyota. Right. And there you go. And that's it. There's your cars. How much interest I have in cars like that, eh? Just like, you could give me one. I would just sit here. I won't even be seen in it.
But back to the bumper thing and all of this we were just talking about. I would say that would, so if I was to pick my forever car, I'm going to hold on to this thing forever.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say actual bumpers.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Real bumpers would be part of my criteria. Because you don't want to like devote your efforts and your energies and your cash to this car only to have a bumper, a front fascia that's not available anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like you don't want to deal with that. So I would say an actual bumper, even if it's covered over with plastic, but an actual bumper would be an important.
Volvo 240s had pretty excellent bumpers.
What's that?
Volvo 240s.
Yeah,
remember the bumpers on those? That was a log. I totaled a guy off in one mine, and man, it didn't even bend that bumper. I buckled the car and everything, and I pulled the car back out and put the same bumper back on it. those things are tanks. Another interesting criteria for forever car, and this is what my brother and I would do: go to the junkyard and see what there's 50 of, because you got parts now. Like, we used to go there and it's like there's a whole row of Volvo 240s. They sold really well in Canada. They were the last car. You still get a manual choke in the mid 80s on those. Like, Canadian cars were very wintry,
Right.
And so Volvo 240s, interchangeable body panels for 10 years, interchangeability, plastic grills that you can take out with 2 little clips. They just fall out. Huge bumpers, interchangeable doors and fenders for 20 model years, bulletproof drivetrains, extremely robust upholstery. They were bloody tanks.
You just described my X-Chase.
Yeah. And that's maybe the Volvo 240 of today. Do you go to the wrecking yard and there's a whole row of them there? Because that helps a lot.
Yeah, well, they built like 7 million over the course of.
So it's funny because the collector car hobby, from this point of view, from this forever point of view, becomes almost the opposite of what it used to be. What you're seeking out is the opposite of rare and interesting. You're seeking out the most common, least special car that you can. And so my answer to that is that you should have at least one forever car. And once you've got that, it frees you up to buy all kinds of stupid cars, which I love stupid cars. I love sketchy, unreliable, junky, French, impossible to get parts for. I love that shit. But I wouldn't want it to be my only car. But I think you have one decent car, and that decent car that's always going to start, that's like your freedom ticket. Now you're free to be stupid and buy French cars and Italian rust buckets. And you can go, because that shit is always going to be broken, but it won't matter because you've got one decent car. And you keep that one good car and you take care of your forever car. And it can be cool, it can be a classic, but it's also your ticket to buying all the stupid cars that you want.
The forever car, one of my criteria, like that's like non-negotiable, is a true forever car has to have a cult following. There has to be an active, group. Doesn't have to be in your own country. Like there are people. You got the whole hot hatch thing in England and all that, right? So even though it's not popular in your area, it's popular someplace, which means that there will always be parts available for it. Yeah. People will fabricate parts. There's always going to be support. There's always going to be knowledge, and especially when you start to get into the later model cars. Because you look at a completely analog car, something from the 50s, 60s, the 70s, we can fix it. We can diagnose those things as they roll down the street, and it's not a special gift. Anybody who becomes familiar with those cars can do that. But then when you start to get into the later model cars, later 80s, into the 90s, the early 2000s, you need technical support. The cars become complex enough at that point that you can't just do a simple schematic wired, you know what I'm saying? You need that kind of support, the parts and the information. So I would say anything that you consider to be a forever car, other people around the world need to also consider it to be a forever car.
I think that the other criteria for a forever car would almost like make that a given. Like if they made lots of them and it's a robust car and it's worth owning, there's almost automatically going to be a community of people who know everything about it and have parts.
Yes and no, because you look at things like let's say 1980s, 1990s Ford Tauruses. They made those things, zillions of them, and they were good cars, but they're extinct. They're extinct. There's no Taurus lovers out there. There's nobody who collects Mercury Sables.
Speak for yourself.
Oh,
I'd have one actually, but yeah, you're right. It is weird that they're extinct because they were good. I don't know. Every now and then we see a first gen Taurus. Because my dad bought one of the first ones when they first came out. He bought a Sable 87, and that was a pretty cool car. Like that was a pretty groundbreaking car, and I do have time for those all day. It is weird that's a car. Of course, I don't know. They're extinct because they're damn near 40 years old. aren't
Well,
they?
there's lots of 40-year-olds that aren't extinct. You look at your Mopar A bodies and
Yeah. So you think that there's more A-body Dodges around than Tauruses?
oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, every once in a while I'll come across a Taurus out in the wild. I come across more Mopars, more
Yeah.
vintage Mopars driving around than I do.
I guess the Taurus probably just didn't get to
and,
that.
and you know the thing about the Taurus is that I know those cars so well.
Yeah.
I worked on so many. There were so many of them in my area when I was living in New York. I know those cars so well. I could rebuild that transmission like with my eyes closed. I know them bumper to bumper and everything that goes wrong with them. I could do a heater core of one of those things. The second generation Taurus, which was a friggin' nightmare. I do a heater core of one of those in 2 hours. Just the whole dash out there because I became that familiar with them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So, yeah, good question. What's the oldest car we'd consider a forever car? That
go
was
ahead.
E.
I think
Beaumont.
we have different opinions on that, but go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, it's just a question from the side here.
Okay.
And it said, "What is the oldest car you'd consider a forever car?" Which I think is a fun question. I mean, my gut instinct answer is the Model T, which don't laugh because you can still buy all the parts for it.
I'm aware.
It's easier to buy parts for my Model T than my brother's Fusions. Everything you want, pistons, gaskets, every piece of front end mechanical component, you can still buy it. Everything but the actual body shell, you can still buy. Complete interiors, you can buy. The car is completely, it'll run indefinitely. And you can bore the engines over 600 times. Like they're just huge iron lumps. So Model T, but the thing with the Model T is it fails on a few other criteria, like having brakes and a heater and things that make it a car. Yeah, winter is not a Model T thing necessarily, although you could do it. But in some ways, like I'll put it this way. If you had to make all the pieces yourself and you couldn't buy anything,
sure.
Model T wins because you just need an anvil and a hammer and a source of heat, and you can just make your own parts.
I agree with that. But the thing with the Model T is that it's only just slightly better than an Amish buggy, right? You know, if traveling at 20 miles an hour is, you know, right? I
40.
What's that?
She'll go 40.
Oh, downhill with a tailwind, yeah.
No, it'll go 42 downhill. I know. 40 on level ground with no headwind.
You know, I've never driven one of those.
Oh, they're super fun.
I've heard. I've never driven one. My criteria for a forever car, I stick with the post-interstate era, which leaves you a lot of really interesting choices. And the only reason I say that is because your forever car should be something that you can use under all circumstances. I want to take this thing. I want to take my family on a vacation with this. I want to commute to and from work with this. I want to do my grocery shopping in this. And it shouldn't take any special consideration. So you could get yourself, I don't know, a 65 Dart, let's just say. And it will do everything it'll do everything it needs to in the modern world. And to me, the cutoff is probably about the interstate era, probably post 1965. You go to earlier cars, they're geared differently. The engines are designed differently. They're intended for 50 mile an hour roads, 40, 50 mile an hour roads. Because before the interstate, everything was two lane. So you get the post interstate, and you have engines, cooling systems, oiling systems, like positive crankcase ventilation, and engines that are designed to work with 290 3.0 gears that can run all day at 3,500 RPM, and they're happy there. So I would say post interstate era cars. Now there are exceptions, like I just saw somebody say 55 Chevy. Well, a 55 Chevy, yes, but not with the original 265 and the road drift tube and the 390 gears. And no, you could take something like a 55 Chevy.
And I guess then we have to decide, are we modifying the car, right? And if we're modifying it, then you can say any car. But
Right.
if we're talking about a car that you're going to run it the way it was made, I would have to agree. I would even go back and say, I mean, I don't think you'd have any problem running a 62 Impala with a 327, whatever. But I get your point. Early mid 60s and newer, still viable in completely stock form today.
Yes.
Absolutely. You could
Well,
argue
modification,
belts in it or whatever, but
the point is that modification becomes an option, not a necessity.
mm-hmm.
Right? Like if you're going to try to drive a 53 Hudson around, there's lots of modifications that are going to have to be made to that car to make it capable in 70-mile-an-hour traffic and daily use today. So I would say major criteria for me for forever cars is that modifications are optional.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to run this thing in completely stock form and be able to do everything that a modern car can do.
So Mexican Spec says, so that leaves out all of Scott's cars. That's not true. I have a couple. Well, if we disregard the Volvo, even if we disregard that, I got C-body Chryslers, 67, 72. Those are perfectly legit cars.
Yeah. Bulletproof cars.
Yeah. And I could take a 59 or 60 Plymouth and put that on the road at 7. I've done it. Take it at 70 miles an hour, drive it all day. No problem at all.
But there are different realities that you have to deal with because now he's in the sticks, right? So it's like he's going to deal with a different set of circumstances. He's not going to be moving along on the interstate and some ding dong in front of you decides to, brake check you or whatever. All of the craziness that goes on in modern traffic, it not only needs to keep up with traffic, but it's got to evade traffic too.
Mm-hmm.
So a moderate amount of modern handling. It has to be able to accept modern radial tires. That's another big thing too. Like all of your four-wheel drum brake setups, let's say that evolved post-interstate era, are capable of hauling that car down from interstate speeds in a reasonable distance. Where you go to the much earlier cars, let's say 50s, 40s, that sort of thing. And no, it's like you got to hang an anchor out the window. You got to plan your moves way ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was teaching my niece to drive the Model T, and I said, you have to drive it as though it has no brakes at all, because it has no brakes.
Right.
So when you see a stop sign, it's like an airplane. You start the checklist. It's like you pull the throttle back, you pull the timing back, you pull the lever back here. And then the ideal stop is that the car just rolls up and stops without having to touch any of the brake pedal there.
Edward's Garage said this before, and this is something for sure. Square bodies forever. I agree with that. I'm not a pickup guy.
For hammers, yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. All of your square, and it doesn't matter. It's Ford, Chrysler. Mm-hmm. People automatically think GM with square bodies, but all your pickups from that era are gold, are absolute gold. They can be used as transportation. They could be used for work. They're infinitely repairable. The aftermarket is forever on those things. Absolutely.
My friend just bought an 83 Dodge Miser. Remember that? The slant 6 half-ton?
Yeah. I remember.
Shift. It's got an 833 with an overdrive and a slant 6, and it's in beautiful condition. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, there you go. There's your truck for life. This thing, it's in beautiful original paint condition, no rust, no dents. And I'm like, there you go. Somebody took care of this truck for you for 40 something years.
And those things are a joy to drive. The overdrive, the overdrive 4-speed, the 833 overdrive 4-speed with slant 6 in a light pickup like that is an absolute joy to drive. I've had several of them over the years. Mm-hmm. Very happy.
Yeah, lovely thing. And simple, and like that is a terrific vehicle. And I was making the point earlier that in my case, where you can take because I have my Volvo, modern-ish car. Now, I mean, all of your other old cars become very viable if they're not your only car.
Yes.
I drive my 37 Chevy in modern traffic anywhere. It'll do anything any modern car will do up to 50 miles an hour. So I can take it in the city and sit at lights, and it's not a burden. Like you're not a menace. The Model T, if you go into the city, you're a menace. But the 37 Chev is only 10 years newer, but with 411 gears and the stove bolt and a 3-speed synchronized in second and third and actual hydraulic brakes. That is a car that is capable of city use, daily city use, and still in completely bone stock condition. It'll keep up with modern traffic as long as it doesn't exceed 50 miles an hour. And like 90% of my time, I don't. 95% of the time, I don't go faster than 50 miles an hour.
Well, again, see, situation. It just depends on where you are.
In my case, that works. Yeah.
So Wargos is asking, he's saying, guys, is a slant stick seriously that much more reliable than a 318? It's not.
No.
It's not. The 318 is probably more reliable. The 318 is an absolute anvil. Those things are just amazing. And it's an engine that I neglected, like I ignored my whole life because, you know, you get distracted by shiny things. Oh, it doesn't have a Hemi in it. I don't want to deal with that, right? There aren't enough carburetors on top of that thing to make me happy. And now that I'm old and I can appreciate different virtues of things, I've become a real fan of the 318. And then just kind of like to prove it to myself, just how bulletproof are these things, I built the one for Bottle Rocket. And damn it, that should not run. That engine is so loose. It should not run. But there it goes, and it runs hard. So
yeah. While we're on that topic, I wanted to say how much I enjoyed the Junkyard 383.
Oh, it runs really good, man.
Yeah. That's how I like, and that, and talking about, you know, all going back to the same self-sufficiency thing is there's, you know, even rebuilding an engine doesn't have to be a life ruiner. You build it, what, $600-700?
Yeah.
And that went from a boat anchor to a viable, last forever under any normal conditions engine.
$675, including the purchase price of the engine, right? And paint. Like I counted everything, right? $675. It runs fantastic. It's lean. I have to. So I haven't touched it because I have to get it over to a place where I can actually beat on it a little bit. But I have to. I'm going to do a video on carb jetting, plug reading, and carb jetting with that engine because it needs it desperately, right? But there's a perfect example of something that anybody can build. You take one of these engines from that golden era, right? Infinitely rebuildable, and that thing was rusted solid. If any machinist looked at it, they'd say, "Oh no, that absolutely needs to be bored." No, we just get that rust beat down, hone it nice and smooth, careful assembly, and it no smoke, no noise, no nothing. It runs nice and hard.
Yeah.
Which brings me to a video I saw last night. So I watch a lot of Steve Morris's videos, right? You ever see his stuff, Steve Morris Racing Engines?
No, I know I recognize the name, but
okay. I admire him. I have all the respect in the world for him. So I'm not knocking him, right? Let's make this clear. I'm not mocking him. But they just did a video yesterday. I just saw this yesterday, where they had a couple. They have a 70 Charger, 68, 69, 70, a second generation Charger with a 383. And it had been rebuilt in the 1980s. And the total cost on the rebuild was like $479, whatever it was. Okay. And that was the thumbnail picture. It was like engine complete rebuild for $479. I'm like, well, they beat me, right? Except that they did it 40 something years ago. So this engine was fresh. It only had a couple of 100 miles on it. The car was off the road, and they would start it every once in a while just to keep things lubricated. So it had been bored. It had fresh pistons in it. It had everything was new. Everything was rebuilt. Okay. They decided for whatever reason, I don't know why, to trash everything but the block and the crank. So they kept the block and the crank, and they threw Carrillo rods in it. They threw TB pistons in it. They're putting aluminum heads on the thing. This is for like a basic driver. This is like for a basic driver. By the time the smoke clears, they're going to be into this engine for between $8,000 and $10,000 between the parts and the machine work and everything else. For what? An extra like 20 horsepower, 25 horsepower than you would have gotten with the well rebuilt 383 that was in there originally? Like he took the rockers, like he pulled the stock rockers and the push rods off the thing. He's like, well, we'll just throw these away. Why? Why? It's the most bulletproof valve train on earth. You know what I mean? Why would you do that? There's just something wrong. And what bothers me, like I said, I have all the respect in the world for him. I respect his work. I watch his channel. So I don't want anybody to misquote me and saying, hey, Steve Morris is a hack. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that this project made absolutely no sense, and it kind of goes exact opposite of what we're talking about here.
I did my nailhead Buick for, well, it was just over 1,000, but I put a cam and timing chain and lifters in. But same thing. That's why I enjoyed the 383 so much, because I was like, that's kind of how I did it. That's really cool, you know.
Yeah. Well, everything I do on my
channel, even put crank bearings in it. Just like, this stuff's all fine. Just measure it. It's like, it's fine. Why am I throwing all this in the garbage? I don't need to just spend money. It needed rings. It needed honing. It needed a cam. The cam was kind of wore out, so I put a stock cam in it because because it's still running the Dynaflow and all that stuff. And I was so happy with it. I'm like, this thing starts and runs perfectly. I did fight vacuum. I had the intake. It's got the intake that sits on top, and the heads are, they sit flat. The intake ports sit flat. So anyway, it was a little bit like, from all the years of the heat riser of the exhaust gas going through it. And I couldn't get any vacuum out of it. And so I had to take the intake off and plane it all down on the mill and put it back on. And now it's just delightful. And so I really enjoyed that. I was like, nice. I felt somewhat vindicated in my super low budget rebuild. And it's fine. There's no smoke. There's no rattles. Like, I'm not trying to go fast. I just want it to work.
Everything I do on my channel is anything we do, like technical, right? Or like engine builds or anything like that. The whole idea, the motivation behind it is to enable people. It's like, yes, you can spend all of this money. Yes, you can be the fastest guy in your block. Yes, you can have exotic things. That's fine. But if you don't have those means, here's how you can do it.
You can still do it. That's my thing too, is like, I can restore these cars to a pretty high standard in a barn by myself. It can be done. It can be done. You just, and it is a kind of a pet peeve of mine, and it's not anybody. I'm not thinking of anybody in particular, but I'm kind of thinking of some people in general, is that they feel compelled to build an engine that is completely unsuited for the way they actually drive. Like, just giant choppy camshafts idling down to the store for smokes. Like, that's just slow now. It's slow because that's not the way you drive,
I try to stress that. And it's one of the reasons, like with this 383, it was like, whatever cam, because I wanted to make it run the way it ran when it was done 45 years ago. So I reused the original cam that was in there. It's a small cam, it's a tiny cam, but I want to work with that engine, with that cam, and show how, yes, you can actually go pretty damn fast, faster than you would think with a stock cam. You don't have to. You just need to make the combination work with it. Like I had several converters I could have thrown in that car. I found a lockup converter, like an 1800 RPM converter, and I changed the pump and everything on the transmission so I could use that converter, because stock cam, little stock cam, it's going to be all punch right there at the hit. So no, the opposite.
Build the car accordingly. Yeah.
Right, you do everything accordingly.
Is that a 66 or 7 satellite?
67, yeah, Belvedere.
Yeah, Belvedere, right. So do you find, and just curious, because you got the inner wheel wells cut out, does that affect the structure in any meaningful way? No?
Well, okay, it depends how you're using the car. Like, I wouldn't put it in regular traffic on bumpy roads and not expect it to do stuff, right? But the bulk of the weight is being carried on the front frame rails, and the firewall, the A pillars, carry the weight of the roof and the greater body. but the bulk of the drivetrain or the bulk of the weight is all carried by the frame rails. So unless you're doing a lot of bumps, a lot of, you know what I mean?
I was just thinking for torque. That's all.
Oh, no, not at all.
No,
You'd never notice those inners were out. And I originally did that because it was going to be a race car.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to use fender well headers, and I was like, well, as long as I'm going to cut the fender wells, I might as well just eliminate the fender wells altogether. So I did. But it's a car that I keep around just to experiment with.
Yeah, no, I love the idea. It's your mule car, right? I love that idea.
Yeah. The next thing I want to do is throw a long ram on it, because I can get away with that without the inner fender wells.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate, dude, we've been, as usual, right? Our injured us for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And we still have 360 people hanging with us. Wow.
Oh, that's terrific. I just want to quickly about motorcycles. You said, I was watching a video, you said you had 20 motorcycles at one point?
28.
28, okay. Yeah,
when I left New York.
Did you ever have an RD Yamaha?
I came down, so when I moved down here, I never had an RD. I had several R5s.
Okay.
And when I moved down here, I brought an R5 with. I got rid of everything. So I had 28 motorcycles in my house. Okay, like the whole downstairs of the house and the garage was just full of motorcycles, because when I quit nitro racing, I was like, I gotta do something. So,
something's got to go fast around here. Yeah.
I had sport bikes. I had a TL1000, a 900RR. I had an EX500 Ninja that I piped and jetted that would surprise the piss out of people on stoplight, right? That type of thing. I had no top end, but man, it would rock. I had some British bikes. I had two Beezers, two 69 A65s, almost chopped. One was stopped.
Oh, that's cool. I love one of those. Yeah.
Oh, they were beautiful.
I love those things. Yeah.
A bunch of various older Hondas, and I had 7 Ironhead Sportsters and two Kawasaki triples. Anyway, when I decided I wanted to move to Tennessee, okay, these bikes got to go. So I got rid of everything except my Ironhead Sportsters, and I came down here with 7 of those and my R5 Yamaha.
Mm-hmm.
Just my wheelie toy. I love that bike.
I was just curious. I just came across a horde of RDs and bought them. So.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, we got 3 of them. I was a racer. I actually we loaded all this stuff. It's a quick story. Bought just my friend found this garage, and he's like, this lady's having a garage sale. It's her brother's stuff. He's passed away. They're selling everything in this house. There's a bunch of motorcycle junk here. And he sent me a picture, and all I could see was one RD gas tank. It was obviously a bike. And I was like, well, and so he kind of negotiated a price before I got there. I was like, okay, yeah, buy it. And he's like, don't worry, I already paid for it all. You just come down. So we got 3 pickup trucks, and we filled them, big 4-door pickup trucks, filled the seats, parked 6 extra engines, 3 RDs, and 2, what are the 250s from the early 70s, whatever those were called, and a factory TZ racing bike.
Wow.
With the serial numbers as not for street use, for competition use only. Yeah. Dude, all in this garage. I didn't even see that serial number until we had it all loaded in the truck. I'm like, this is a factory race bike. So anyway, I was just like, we're all giddy like schoolgirls around here today. Like,
if you were anywhere near, if anywhere near me, you wouldn't be able to get rid of me, man.
Just let me. Just real. Just I know this is out of time and everything, but
no, that's okay. That's okay.
This is just like out of the truck. I just threw some of the pieces on it. Come on, you stupid thing. Does that work?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Jesus.
We're going to have some fun with that.
That's hot.
That's cool, eh? Man. That thing, 250 cc's, 50 horsepower, 150 miles an hour in 1974. That's crazy. That's an aluminum tank on that. It's a it's all fiberglass fairing. It's about 1 millimeter thick. The whole, like the pipes, you can pick up the pipes with your pinky. It's all so thin and so light. It's just the neatest thing.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's gonna sound so insane. Yeah. So
I love all motorcycles. I love to ride all motorcycles. I love to work on all motorcycles. For myself, I've always had that fleet approach, and I've decided that I'm going to just focus on Evo Sportsters. So, because you can do so much with them, right? So that's what I'm focusing on for myself. But I love working on stuff like that. If I was anywhere near you, you wouldn't be able to get rid of me. You wouldn't be able to get rid of me.
well, when it gets close, I'm gonna have to fly you up here if you'll come to, if you're not.
I don't fly, man. I don't fly.
No, that's a good policy too. Actually, I can totally see that.
I used to fly everywhere when I was doing a nitro thing. They used to fly me all over the place. But every time I ever got on a plane, I swore I would never get on a plane again. Until finally, I was at O'Hare, not O'Hare, the airport in Chicago, Midway. I was at Midway Airport and getting on the plane, and I was, to come home, and I was like, just no. And I got off the plane, and I went back to my buddy's house with their race car, and I bought what was it? It was a Nova, and I drove it from Chicago. No, I drove it from Racine, Wisconsin to New York City with no plates. I just didn't care. I was not on that freaking plane.
Oh, I kind of had you figured for a guy who might get his pilot's license.
No.
No?
I'm the world's biggest puss when it comes to most things. I limit myself to a couple of high-risk activities.
Nitro altereds notwithstanding, eh?
I'd
rather sit on a bomb. I'd rather sit on a bomb and light it off under my ass than get on an airplane.
Listen, I limit myself to a couple of high-risk activities, and that's it. Like I won't go on a roller coaster, man.
So you put all your risk eggs in that one basket, eh?
All your risk eggs in one little basket. Focus on it, and you won't get mangled too badly.
That's right.
And then just nothing else. Nothing else.
Everything else super safe. Just nitromethane over here. Yeah.
Super safe. I'm not a thrill.
The nitromethane dragster series too. That's going to be awesome.
It's we got there's so much going on with that car. That's an unfortunate thing because I really did not want to get sucked back into the nitro deal. God,
there it is in your garage.
Oh, it's a mistake. It's bad. It's really bad because what happens is now those cars take so much concentration. They take so much of your head space that you just fall into this loop where that's all you could think about now. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're not working on a damn thing, there is so much that has to be thought through. There's so much that has to be attention paid, and you start working through the chain of events before the car even. So I know it's got a 1.79 rod ratio, but I don't know the camshaft profile where the blowdown cycle begins, and so now. What do I do with this blower, which is a freshly stripped magnesium blower? I need to wear the blower in before I start running the car. There's a whole and that's it. It never stops. Those thoughts just keep going and going and going, and they take over your freaking life. So it was a mistake. It was a bad mistake.
What can a guy say? I got 70 cars. I don't know. I don't learn.
Yeah,
don't learn.
I'm
sickness, man. The sickness takes many forms.
Today, like just literally today, I'm getting rid of Mopar stuff, right? I'm getting rid of because I'm never building another car. I'm done. I'm 63 years old. I am never ever building another car. I've been getting rid of stuff, and for the last couple of years, I've been getting rid of stuff. But now I'm getting rid of like stuff that's in the shed, in the attic, in the garage. And
you got my address though, right?
What's that?
You got my address though, right?
What do you want? I don't have anything that you want.
Oh,
I don't think.
Try me.
It's everything I'm getting rid of is leavings from when I was in the parts business.
Oh yeah.
So I parted out over 30 cars, and plus all of the because I bought out every dealer in my area. You were selling Mopar parts, I bought you out. So I had all of that stuff plus the cars that I parted, and so I've got leavings everywhere. My shed was full, my attic is full. I got stuff all over the garage. I got stuff in the storage unit, and I sold everything for like just scrap.
That's awesome. Very liberating too.
I injured myself today trying to move a friggin' block.
That's a sign.
Yeah, I never should have gotten involved in this stuff. I want to simplify, man. I want to play with my dogs. I want to ride a motorcycle. I want to make some YouTube videos. I just, you know what I mean? I just want to coast now.
That's right, man.
Cold War Motors, guys. If you're not already subbed, go over there and sub and like and ring his bell and do everything that you're supposed to do. All of that. Cold War Motors and his merch. You sell merch?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a link at the. If you get to the channel, you can find there. See, we'll bring those back.
Yes.
Now that right.
Yes.
Same old bullshit. And you can get our hats at. Oh wait, that's not my hat.
No, that's mine. You don't have hats, do you?
Not yet. No. We're right. I just got to get through the calendar project because that's a big project, and then we're gonna get a little more back into the t-shirts and other things. But it does take a bunch of time, and I have to do, just try to. I take it very seriously that everybody is happy, and so if you start having 20 different things for sale, then you got 20 different problems, and I can't let it start to overwhelm what the original goal was, which is just hang out with your friends and work on cars. So I'm very careful about that balance.
And the awesome Fubar just put up.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you for having me on. I look forward to it. And
dude, every time we get together, it's like the time just literally just rips. I don't think we really got too much into the topic that we originally said. I hope we didn't piss anybody off.
No, I think we did. We got to it for sure.
Yeah, but we also got to a lot of other things.
Sure,
that's what happens.
Yeah.
Next time we do this, I want to get like Jamie from Dead Dodge Garage in here too.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be fun. He sounds like somebody I would definitely get along with.
Oh, he's awesome, and it's like the younger guy's perspective. He's half our age, but he lives the vintage car life. I mean, to the nth degree. So yeah, I want to get him on here the next time we do this. But our fantastic mods, Zero, Fubar, Mexican Spec, guys, thank you so much as always. They keep everything clean. They keep the traffic moving in the comments. Guys, in the comments, I know you keep throwing stuff out there and we kind of neglect to do it. I'm sorry. But thank you for hanging out. Everybody contributed super chat. Always appreciated. Never expected, but always appreciated. And everybody contributed with your presence and your conversation. Thank you equally. So go over there, sub to Scott, and be someone worth knowing. That's it. That's the key to success in life. Be someone worth knowing.
Yeah, it sounds easy, right? But
it's not. It takes a life commitment to be that person. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
Guys, go ahead.
No, that's it. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for having me on. I just had a great time, and yeah, like I said, maybe next time Tony and I will talk for an hour on the phone first. We'll get all that. Oh, the government. We'll get that out of our systems, and then we can just talk about like drum brakes and distributor caps, and it's all fun though.
All right, guys, I'm going to pull the plug on this.
Yes, don't forget to follow along on the that Hemi. That's going to be epic. That's a 354 to everybody's surprise.
Which I like 354s, and I actually came up with a combination with Pete Jensen back in 2000. I was after I quit, but I still had friends that were in it, right? And he was having an issue with his nostalgia top fuel car, competitive nostalgia top fuel car. And we came up with a combination based on a 354. And to this day, it's still a viable thing. So not that we're going to be able to step on the one that's in that car to the same extent, but I like 354s.
I like the idea. I'm going over to my friend's house right now, and he's got a 354 in the garage.
Really? We need a block?
No, a complete running engine, yeah.
Well, we need I got to start hunting for a block. But
oh yeah.
Well, we're going to use that one for the initial.
Yeah. You went through your plan. This will be your kind of get it all set up and then swap out the block at a later date.
Right. When we're ready to journey beyond the 60 foot, we got to change the block. Guys, I'm pulling a plug on this. Thank you so much. We'll be back with Dr. Art on Wednesday night for our Tech Talk Live, and then videos and stuff like that. So good night all, and thank you.
Thank you guys. Cheers.